Government appoints Govinda Bahadur Karki as Nepal's next Chief Secretary, Karki to succeed Suman Raj Aryal. Prime Minister Balendra Shah pledges reforms to strengthen investment, industries and private sector confidence. Flash floods in several districts in the forecast as monsoon intensifies across Nepal. Heavy rainfall likely in eastern and central regions. US President Donald Trump says US-Iran ceasefire effectively over after fresh military strikes by both sides. NATO leaders gather in Ankara for a key summit on collective security. US President Trump criticizes member states for not doing enough. And quarter-final equation of FIFA World Cup 2026 set with Switzerland knocks out Colombia out on penalties. Good evening, I'm Sweksha Rajak and this is NTV World Primetime News. We are coming to you live from Kathmandu at 1900 hours Nepal time. Elsewhere, it's 13:15 in London, 22:15 in Tokyo and just after midnight in Sydney. Now the news in detail. The government has appointed Govinda Bahadur Karki as the new Chief Secretary of the Government of Nepal. According to government spokesperson and Minister for Education and Sports, Sasmit Pokhrel, the meeting of the Council of Ministers held at the office of the Prime Minister and Council of Ministers in Singapore today took a decision to this regard.
भाषा शिक्षण तथा तयारी कक्षा सञ्चालन र व्यवस्थापन नियमावली 2083 स्वीकृत गर्ने, कारागार नियमावली 2083 स्वीकृत गर्ने, मानव अधिकार सम्बन्धी 6औं राष्ट्रिय कार्ययोजना स्वीकृत गर्ने, भ्रष्टाचार विरुद्धको दोस्रो रणनीति योजना स्वीकृत गर्ने र प्रधानमन्त्री तथा मन्त्री परिषदको कार्यालयका सचिव श्री गोविन्द बहादुर कार्कीलाई नेपाल सरकारको मुख्य सचिव पदमा नियुक्ति गर्ने।
Incumbent Chief Secretary Suman Raj Aryal is retiring on age limit after 2 days. Today's cabinet meeting also appointed Suraj Shakya as Development Commissioner of the Kathmandu Valley Development Authority and approved the operation of Keta Hospital in Kailali as the teaching hospital of Shahid Dashrath Chand Health Sciences University. In addition, the cabinet endorsed new regulations governing foreign academic programs, educational consultancy services, language teaching and preparatory classes, as well as the Prison Regulations 2083. It also approved the 6th National Human Rights Action Plan and the 2nd Strategic Plan Against Corruption. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Balendra Shah has held high-level talks with private sector leaders on improving Nepal's investment climate, promoting industries and accelerating economic reforms. During the meeting at the office of the Prime Minister and Council of Ministers, Shah reaffirmed the government's commitment to removing policy and procedural barriers, simplifying business operations and creating a more industry-friendly environment. Calling the private sector a key partner in economic development, he pledged legal, policy and administrative reforms to encourage investment, expand production and generate employment. Business representatives urged the government to ensure policy stability, improve service delivery and maintain regular dialogue. The Prime Minister said the government would seriously consider recommendations and move forward with economic reform in partnership with the private sector. Opposition lawmakers continue to press the government in the House of Representatives, demanding that the Prime Minister respond directly to the issues they have raised and calling for greater accountability. Lawmakers urged and argued that the demand was in line with parliamentary rules and urged the government to create an environment for dialogue and consensus. During the session, the Speaker ordered parts of an opposition lawmaker's earlier remarks to be removed from the official record, while other members raised concern over territorial claims involving Nepal and called for action against abusive content on social media. The House also unanimously referred the Tourism Bill and the Nepal Rashtra Bank Third Amendment Bill to the relevant committees for clause-by-clause discussion before adjourning until Thursday morning. The government has introduced wheelchair and facilitator services across Singapore to make government offices more accessible for people with disabilities, senior citizens and employees with mobility challenges. Chief Secretary Suman Raj Arya launched the initiative, saying the service will ensure easier movement for both service seekers and government staff while strengthening the implementation of disability rights and citizens-friendly governance. Designated facilitators will accompany each wheelchair user from office premises to the relevant section or office. Officials say most buildings in Singadaba are already disability-friendly, while remaining improvements will be completed soon. The government has pledged to continue the service on a long-term basis, ensuring assistance is available every day for who needs it. We are going for a short break here. More news coming up. Do stay tuned with us. You are watching NTV World and this is Primetime News. Welcome back. Nepal's Department of Hydrology and Meteorology has urged the public to remain alert after forecasting a moderate risk of flash floods in several districts due to active monsoon conditions. The department says heavy rainfall is likely in parts of Koshi, Bagmati, Gandaki and Lumini provinces as well as isolated areas of Madhesh province. Flood expert Binod Parajuli warned that water levels in small rivers flowing through Ilam, Chhapa, Panchtar, Terathum, Dhankuta, Sunsari, Morang, Saptari, Doti and Dadildhura could rise significantly, increasing the risk of flash floods. According to the department, most parts of the country received light to moderate rainfall over the past 24 hours, with Kaski's Yangtakot recording the highest rainfall at 98.6 millimeters. Dengue cases in Koshi province have declined significantly compared to previous years. According to the health secretariat in Thankuta, 4,822 dengue cases were recorded in the last fiscal year, down from 18,067 cases reported in 2024. A declining trend has also been observed across the province. The Tarai districts recorded 3,762 cases, while the 11 hill and mountain districts, including Dhankuta, reported 1,061 cases. Among the districts, Morang recorded the highest number of infections with 2,083 cases, while Solukhumbu and Ilam reported the fewest with 4 cases each. In Dhankuta, only 42 dengue cases have been recorded this year, a sharp decline from 483 cases in 2023. Despite the downward trend, health officials warn that dengue cases could increase in the coming months as the monsoon season progresses. They have urged the public to remain vigilant by keeping homes and surroundings clean and taking precautions to avoid mosquito bites. Bird flu outbreaks reported in different parts of the country are now taking a toll on poultry farmers in Dhading districts. Farmers say broiler chickens raised for meat are not reaching the market as consumers remain wary of buying chicken. The situation has become even more difficult after tighter restrictions on transporting poultry to the Kathmandu Valley, their main market. With thousands of birds ready for sale, farmers are being forced to keep them on their farms. Meanwhile, the cost of feed, medicines and daily care continues to rise, increasing the financial burden. Farmers are calling on the government to strengthen disease control measures, improve market management and provide accurate public information to restore consumer confidence. Reviving some of the iconic industries of the country shuttered due to mismanagement and other issues has been one of the priorities of the government. Among many such industries, Hetauda textile industry is one where efforts are being made to revive it along with the subsidiary, the Butwal yarn factory. Shut down for the past 2 decades, reviving these industries is not going to be easy. Rojan Arai with our local correspondent Keshav Bhandari from Butwal brings a report.
The government of Nepal has stepped up efforts to revive the Butwal yarn factory, which has remained shut for nearly 2 decades. The Ministry of Industry, Commerce and Supplies has placed the state-owned factory on its priority list under a nationwide campaign to restore closed and struggling public industries. As a part of the process, a team of experts is now conducting a technical assessment and feasibility study to determine the factory's operational potential. Established in 1983 and beginning production in 1991, the Butwal yarn factory was once a key pillar of Nepal's textile industry. The factory had the capacity to produce 10 tons of yarn per day, with around 90% of its output exported to India and the remaining 10% supplies in the domestic market. At its peak, the factory provided direct employment to more than 600 workers while supporting thousands of additional jobs indirectly. Production came to a halt in 2007 due to poor management, political interference, prolonged power shortages, and a lack of working capital. Employees were formally laid off in 2009, leaving the factory and its infrastructure idle for years. Factory management says the ongoing technical evaluation is an important first step toward determining whether the plant can be brought back into operation.
प्रत्यक्ष रूपमा हजारौं मान्छेले रोजगारी पाइरहेको अवस्था थियो। 66 असोज 1 गते चाहिँ सम्पूर्ण कामदार कर्मचारीहरूलाई पे अफ गरेपछि पूर्ण रूपले बन्द रहेको र उत्पादन चाहिँ 64 फागुनबाट बन्द रहेको अवस्था छ। अहिले नेपाल सरकारले यो संस्थामा रहेको सरकारको लगानी व्यवस्थापन गर्ने उद्देश्यले डीडीए को कार्य यसको सम्पत्ति र दायित्व यकिन गर्ने कार्यका लागि काम भइरहेको अवस्था छ।
The closure left government assets worth billions of rupees unused and in a state of deterioration. It also dealt a major blow to former employees and the local economy. With the feasibility study now underway, hopes are growing in Butwal that the long-idled factory could once again contribute to Nepal's textile sector and create new employment opportunities.
Nepal's tourism industry is getting a major boost from its closest neighbor. Of late, visitors from India have chosen Nepal as their preferred destination, providing fresh momentum to the country's tourism sector and local economy.
Nepal welcomed more than 600,000 foreign tourists between January and June this year. Indian visitors accounted for the largest share, with the Ministry of Culture, Tourism and Civil Aviation reporting a 100% increase over the same period last year. Tourism officials attribute the growth to Nepal's open border with India, close cultural and religious ties, easy accessibility and affordable travel costs. Popular pilgrimage sites, mountain scenery and adventure tourism continue to draw Indian travelers. The government has set a target of attracting 3.5 million foreign tourists within the next decade, with India remaining its priority market.
धर्मावलम्बीहरूलाई यो प्रचार प्रसार पछिल्ला चरणमा डिजिटाइजेसनको माध्यमद्वारा यो आयोजिएको सोशल नेटवर्क मार्फतबाट बढी प्रचार प्रसार जस्तो भएर पनि सुसुप्त रहेको थाहा नपाएको कुरा थाहा पाएर बढ्दो क्रममा छ।
The rise in Indian arrivals is also translating into stronger business for hotels, restaurants, transport operators and other tourism-related businesses.
यो हिसाबले हामीले आफ्नो व्यवसायभित्र हाम्रा व्यवसायीहरूले आफ्नो व्यावसायिक प्रतिष्ठानभित्र कस्ता किसिमका पर्यटकहरूलाई आकर्षण गर्ने, कस्तो किसिमको सेवा दिने, कस्तो गुणस्तरको खाना दिने र कुन स्वादमा अथवा कुन किसिमको हस्पिटालिटी प्रदान गर्ने भन्ने कुराहरू चाहिँ व्यवसायमा निहित हुन्छ.
Many Indian visitors say Nepal remains an attractive destination because it is nearby, safe, affordable, and rich in natural and religious attractions.
Coming to Nepal was kind of a wonderful experience. This is being our first time coming to Nepal. But and at the same time, like, most of our friends said that it's better to actually go to Nepal, go to Kathmandu, go to Pokhara, where you'll try to actually meet a lot of good new people, and you'll have a lot of sightseeing places in Kathmandu, in Pokhara, and different places as well.
Nepal is it's a nice place. It's really crowded, and there's a lot of places to go, and there's also very nice sightseeing places to go. And also, we experienced the rainbow here.
My son loved the atmosphere, people around, hospitality, and nature. Many of the time when we go and live in cities, we do not find fresh air. We do not see nice environment around. We do not see lovely people, living into the villages and all of areas.
Tourism entrepreneurs also say recent calls by Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi for Indians to spend more on domestic and regional travel have indirectly benefited Nepal's tourism sector. With Indian arrivals continuing to climb, Nepal is counting on its largest tourism market to help drive future growth and meet its long-term visitor targets. With camera person Anup Ghimire, Sabika Shrestha, NTV World.
It's now time for international updates, but before that, we'll take a short break. Welcome back. Now on to the international updates. The United States Central Command, or CENTCOM, has released footage it says shows strikes on 80 Iranian targets following what it described as recent Iranian attacks on at least 3 ships. Speaking at the NATO summit in Ankara, US President Donald Trump declared that the ceasefire with Iran was over, describing Tehran as sick and saying he no longer wanted to negotiate with the Iranian government.
Is the ceasefire done? Is the MOU dead?
It's a very interesting question. To me, I think it's over. I don't want to deal with them anymore. They're scum. You know what scum is? They're scum. They're sick people. They're led by sick people. And they're vicious, violent people.
Meanwhile, Iran's Revolutionary Guards claimed they launched missiles and drones at dozens of U.S. military facilities in Bahrain and Kuwait, including the U.S. 5th Fleet Headquarters and Ali al-Salim Air Base, in retaliation for American strikes. Iranian state television also accused the United States of violating a ceasefire by attacking coastal military bases and civilian sites in southern Iran. The competing claims mark a sharp escalation in tensions between Washington and Tehran, with no independent verification of the reported attacks or damage. Meanwhile, China has urged the United States and Iran to avoid escalating tensions following recent U.S. strikes on Iranian targets, warning that renewed conflict would not serve either side's interest. Foreign Ministry spokesperson Mao Ning called on both countries to resolve their differences through dialogue and implement existing agreements.
我们正在关注中东局势的最新动向，重燃战火不符合任何一方的利益，军事手段解决不了根本问题。我们呼吁美伊双方落实好已经签署的谅解备忘录，通过对话谈判化解争端，避免诉诸武力。
NATO leaders have gathered in Ankara, Turkey, for a key summit focused on collective security, defense spending, and continued support for Ukraine. The meeting comes after US President Donald Trump publicly criticized NATO allies, raising concerns that divisions with the alliance could overshadow the summit. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky held talks with Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni on the sidelines as efforts to revive negotiations aimed at ending Russia's war in Ukraine remain on the agenda. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte and Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan welcomed leaders including Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney, German Chancellor Friedrich Merz and other alliance members on their arrival. The summit is expected to address regional security challenges and reaffirm NATO's strategic priorities amid ongoing geopolitical tensions. Tensions renewed within the alliance after US President Donald Trump criticized member of states of NATO for not doing enough to support his campaign against Iran. Speaking alongside NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte, Trump made such statements.
The fact that I'm very upset with NATO, that we pay far, far too much, billions and billions of dollars too much, because it's unfair, because we're protecting them. So we protect them, but they're not there for us. Think of it. Doesn't work.
Meanwhile, Norwegian Prime Minister Jonas Gahr Støre defended the alliance, saying NATO provides significant strategic value to the United States, particularly through security cooperation and the Arctic.
But I don't see the US pulling all of their troops out of Europe. You know, it happens at times that President Trump is asking, what does NATO bring to the US? And I can tell you from Norway's perspective, a lot. We can demonstrate that what we do in the High North, in the Arctic, looking after, keeping calm, is of importance for our security, but also for the US homeland security.
In the meantime, Hungarian Prime Minister Peter Mudger reiterated that Ukraine is the victim of Russia's invasion and affirmed Kyiv's right to defend its territorial integrity.
Let me make it very clear concerning the war on behalf of the Hungarian government that Ukraine is the victim and Russia is the brutal aggressor, and Ukraine has the right to defend its territorial integrity.
US President Donald Trump on Wednesday ordered an immediate halt to all trade with NATO ally Spain, escalating tensions over defense spending and the Iran war. Despite European Union rules requiring trade negotiations to be conducted as a single bloc, during a NATO summit in Ankara, which European leaders had hoped would cap rifts within the military alliance, Trump instead reignited the dispute with Spain, calling it a terrible partner. Denmark promised to defend every inch of its territory. Trump has also repeatedly expressed frustration with Spain after Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez, a socialist who leads a minority leftist government, refused to the U.S. use its airspace or bases for the Iran war. Meanwhile, following Trump's Spain trade threat, the European Union has vowed to protect member states' interests. Trade spokesperson Olof Gill said during a press meet, the Commission will always ensure that the interests of the European Union and all our member states are fully protected.
I remind you that we signed a joint statement with the US last year. We expect the US to honour its commitments under that joint statement, as we have honoured ours. And finally, I repeat, the Commission will always ensure that the interests of the European Union and all our member states are fully protected.
Let's again take a short breather. We'll see you at the other side with more international news and sports updates. Welcome back now to more updates. Emergency crews have been responding to an overnight Russian strike on Ukraine's capital, Kyiv, that killed at least one person, according to Mayor Vitaly Klitschko. Firefighters worked to extinguish blazes and assess the damage caused by the attack. The latest strike comes as Russia continues its military campaign against Ukraine, more than 4 years after launching its full-scale invasion in 2022. It also comes just hours before Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is scheduled to meet US President Donald Trump on the sidelines of the NATO summit in Ankara. The meeting is expected to focus on Ukraine's security and continued international support. Now to sports. Switzerland booked a place in the World Cup quarterfinals after defeating Colombia 4-3 in a penalty shootout following a goalless draw, setting up a last-8 clash with defending champions Argentina. Goalkeeper Gregor Kobel made the decisive save before Ruben Vargas converted the winning penalty to send the Swiss through after a tightly contested match. Argentina also advanced after a dramatic 3-2 comeback victory over Egypt, with Lionel Messi scoring and providing an assist before Enzo Fernandez struck the winner deep into stoppage time. Meanwhile, Croatia head coach Zlatko Dalic resigned after 9 years in charge, days after his team's World Cup exit following a defeat to Portugal. The first quarterfinal match will be seen Morocco up against France at 11 p.m. tomorrow as per Nepal time. Egypt has filed a formal complaint with World Football governing body FIFA, calling for an investigation into the refereeing team following its controversial 3-2 defeat to defending champions Argentina in the FIFA World Cup round of 16. The Egyptian Football Association alleges the French referee François Letexier and the VAR officials made crucial errors, including disallowing a goal and failing to award Egypt a late penalty before Argentina scored the winner through Enzo Fernandez. Egypt also demanded that the entire officiating team be removed from the tournament, accusing them of inconsistent decisions and discrimination against the Egyptian side. Head coach Hossam Hussein claimed this team has been cheated and suggested Argentina, led by Lionel Messi, received favorable treatment to remain the competition. FIFA has not yet commented publicly on this complaint. Before we wrap up, let's have the headlines again. Government appoints Govinda Bahadur Karke as Nepal's next Chief Secretary, Karke to succeed Suman Raj Aryal. Prime Minister Balendra Shah pledges reforms to strengthen investment, industries and private sector confidence. Flash floods in several districts in the forecast as monsoon intensifies across Nepal, heavy rainfall likely in eastern and central regions. US President Donald Trump says US-Iran ceasefire effectively over after fresh military strikes by both sides. NATO leaders gather in Ankara for a key summit on collective security. US President criticizes member states for not doing enough. And quarter-final equation of FIFA World Cup 2026 set with Switzerland knocks out Colombia on penalties. That's it for this edition of Primetime News. Our next bulletin will be at 2200 hours Nepal time. Do join us through our social media and get the latest updates from our official website, nepaltelevision.com. I'm Suviksha Raj again. Thank you for staying with us. Have a wonderful evening ahead.
Hello, I'm Sabika Shrestha. Welcome to The Perspective on NTV World. In this program, we look into week's biggest stories to the issues behind them. We go beyond the news to understand what it means for Nepal. This week, our focus is the first 100 days of Prime Minister Balendra Shah's government. The administration says it has delivered reforms across governance, the economy, public services and anti-corruption. But how much has actually changed? In this edition, we compile the week's major reports and examine the government's claims, priorities and the public response. The first 100 days are often seen as an early taste of any new government. For Prime Minister Balendra Shah's administration, they have been marked by promises of institutional reform, faster public service delivery and a renewed focus on accountability. We begin with an overview of the government's priorities and the direction it went ahead.
The government's first day in office was highly symbolic. Accompanied by traditional prayers and blessings, it approved a 100-point reform agenda and pledged to implement key recommendations on governance reform. Under the slogan Nepal First, Nepalis First, the administration has sought to portray itself as a break from the political establishment that has dominated the country for decades. Its biggest focus has been good governance and anti-corruption. In a move without precedent in recent years, investigations were launched against former prime ministers, former deputy prime ministers, former home ministers, and other senior political figures. Authorities also filed money laundering cases against 39 individuals, including businessmen Sulabh Agrawal and Deepak Bhatta. The government also formed a high-level commission to investigate the assets of top political figures dating back to Nepal's 2006 political transition. Administrative restructuring has been another key priority. The government decided to reduce the number of federal ministries to 18 and moved forward with long-delayed civil service reforms, including a ban on party-affiliated trade unions within the bureaucracy. For ordinary citizens, the most visible changes have come through public service delivery and digital governance. Processes that once took weeks are now being completed in hours. Driving licenses are being issued more quickly, examination results are being published faster, and key services such as land registration and taxation are increasingly moving online. The administration has also tightened oversight of public procurement and contract management while introducing policy changes aimed at encouraging investment, industry and tourism. It says the implementation of Commission recommendations has also opened the way to reclaim more than 1,800 ropanis of government land in Kathmandu from alleged land grabbers. Economic reforms have included widening the tax base, introducing a multi-VAT system, and linking reductions in fuel prices to immediate cuts in public transport fares. In the social sector, private schools are now required to disclose details of scholarship distribution, while authorities have announced plans for women-only public buses and expanded nighttime transport services in the capital. In agriculture and land reform, the government approved new regulations banning exploitative labor practices, saying the measures are intended to provide long-awaited justice to marginalized communities. As the administration moves beyond this symbolic milestone, the challenge will be to sustain that momentum and turn early reforms into lasting improvements in governance and public service delivery. The coming months will determine whether the confidence generated in its first 100 days can evolve into a durable transformation of the state.
Beyond the broader agenda, the government says measurable progress has been made across key sectors, from infrastructure and digital governance to security, health, finance and energy. Officials have outlined achievements they say demonstrate early momentum. Smritu Gising Tamang along with Subhadra Gautam has this report.
Nepal government has claimed major progress across multiple sectors, including administrative reforms, infrastructure development, digital services, and economic management over the past 100 days. Officials presented detailed ministry-wise achievements, highlighting improvements in defense, finance, energy, health, and public service delivery systems. In the security sector, the government said it has introduced a bill related to the National Service Corps in the Parliament and expanded support for families of martyred, injured, and disabled security personnel, including monthly allowances and employment assistance. It has also launched digital citizenship services, improved incident reporting systems at the local level, and begun transferring confiscated assets in corruption cases into state ownership. In the economic sector, authorities said tax services have been made more digital and expanded to 120 local levels, while pension verification from home has been introduced to simplify access for citizens. The government also stated that measures have been taken to control revenue leakage and stabilize petroleum prices through customs and infrastructure fee adjustments, along with efforts to revive the Hetauda textile industry. On infrastructure, the Ministry of Physical Infrastructure reported identifying hundreds of stalled or problematic projects, including 250 sick, 122 abandoned, and 153 delayed schemes, and has introduced fast-track mechanisms to resolve land, forest, and compensation issues. Construction progress has also been accelerated on national pride projects, including the installation of way bridges on strategic highways and the expansion of key transport infrastructure. In the energy sector, the government said 138 megawatts of electricity have been added to the national grid, increasing total capacity of 4,242 megawatts, alongside progress in electricity exports, irrigation expansion across 3,000 hectares, embankment construction, and renewable energy initiatives such as rooftop solar and electric stove installations. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Health and Population said it has expanded free health services through a new online portal, improved access to blood availability information, and increased psychosocial counseling services in federal hospitals. Authorities also reported strengthened food safety monitoring, including tighter pesticide checks on imported produce, the launch of a mobile food laboratory in Kathmandu Valley, and testing of more than 15,000 samples.
Economic recovery has remained at the center of the government's agenda, alongside efforts to boost private sector confidence and attract investment. The administration has linked its early reforms to its long-term vision of building a 10 trillion rupee economy. Here's Bhavana Kesi with more.
Nepal's new government came to power facing intense scrutiny over the economy and high public expectations to deliver meaningful reforms. In its first 100 days, the administration has moved to amend or repeal more than 15 laws that it considers barriers to investment. Through the national budget, it has raised the personal income tax exemption threshold, lowered the maximum tax rate, and introduced a 50% tax exemption on income from IT service exports. The government has also reduced excise duties and custom tariffs on selected goods, introduced VAT refunds on digital transactions, and offered relief to settle long-standing tax disputes. An electronic pension verification system has been launched for hundreds of thousands of pension holders, while federal civil servants can now receive their salaries every 15 days. Drawing on recommendations from economic experts and the private sector, the government has set an ambitious long-term target of expanding Nepal's economy to $100 billion. Energy, tourism, information technology, agriculture, infrastructure, and institutional reforms have been identified as the key pillars of future growth. The administration is targeting annual economic growth of at least 7% and aims to raise per capita income to $3,000 within the next 5 to 7 years. It has also launched an online platform to gather public suggestions for policies and the national budget. The government says its first 100 days have produced encouraging signs for the economy. But the real measure of success will be whether these reforms translate into greater investment, stronger production, more jobs, and tangible economic activity in the months ahead.
Good governance has been one of the government's defining themes. It says institutional reforms, a zero-tolerance policy on corruption, and changes in public administration are intended to improve transparency, accountability, and efficiency. Diksha Avasthi, alongside with Subhadra Gautam, brings us the details.
Following the corruption of its first 100 days in office, Nepal's government has announced a series of governance and administrative reforms, emphasizing a strong stance on corruption control and improved public service delivery. As part of institutional restructuring, the government reduced the number of ministries from 25 to 18, a move projected to save approximately 20 billion rupees annually for the state treasury. It has also highlighted the abolition of party-affiliated trade unions as a key reform in public administration, alongside the dissolution of politically aligned student organizations during the same period. A property investigation commission has been formed and has already begun probing the assets of high-ranking public office holders.
हामीले सम्पत्ति छानबिन आयोग 2083 गठन गरेका छौं। यसले लगभग 11,000 भन्दा बढी उजुरी प्राप्त गरिसकेको छ र त्यसको प्रक्रिया पनि अगाडि बढाइसकेको मैले यहाँलाई जानकारी गराउन चाहे। त्यसैगरी सार्वजनिक जग्गा छानबिन एवं संरक्षण सम्बन्धी आयोग राहुल आयोगको बारेमा हामीले यसभन्दा अगाडि पनि जानकारी गराइ नै सकेका छौं। राहुल आयोगलाई चाहिँ कार्यान्वयन गर्न नेपाल सरकारले मन्त्री परिषदबाट निर्णय गरिसकेको पनि जानकारी गराए।
In the area of service delivery, the government said it has prioritized making public services more accessible to citizens. Passport delivery to homes has been initiated in 75 of Nepal's 77 districts, with Humla and Bhojpur yet to be covered. So far, 206,330 passports have been transported via postal service to district administration offices, while 5,728 have been delivered directly to applicants' residences. To improve administrative efficiency, around 500 government employees have received specialized training to strengthen frontline service delivery and provide immediate assistance to service seekers at government offices. In addition, arrangements have been made for companies registered at the Office of the Company Registrar to obtain permanent account numbers, that is PAN, and related certificates from the same office, as well as from 120 local levels providing taxpayer services. A total of 2.375 million driving licenses have been printed, with plans to complete 2.9 million by the end of the current fiscal year. Following recommendations from a task force on implementing a one-window service system, the government has allocated budget to gradually roll out the system across all 32 district administration offices.
In this context, we asked young lawyer Prajwal Vikram Rana in our virtual interview. Welcome to The Perspective, sir.
Thank you so much.
So as we know, the government just has said that it has completed 87.2% of its 100-point governance reform agenda. From your perspective, does this reflect real change on the ground or just progress on paper?
I personally believe, of course, every government has to show something and prove that we have done some work. So that's why they have given them more points. But I do not think personally that that is what we can see on the ground, because there are a lot of achievements. I was just going through the website that some of our friends have created, who had tracked like the activities of 100 points of the government, and I can clearly see that there are many things that government has failed to achieve. Especially, they have missed many deadlines. So I do not think that government has been successful to work on all the points, but I would also like to add, I do not want to be, I'm an optimistic person, so I would not say that it has not done anything, but 87 is a lot. I would say it is a lot of points that they are giving themselves.
The government has highlighted governance reforms, anti-corruption efforts, and improvements in public service delivery. Have ordinary citizens, especially young people, actually felt these changes?
I was there a few months ago in Sarlai for one of the legal work. And when I was there in the land office, so the police came and arrested few middlemen. I saw that in front of me itself. And that had created kind of like pressure to the bureaucrats as well, who were there in the office. And people were also scared. So kind of that is, and I think in the press conference as well, our spokesperson of the government also said they have arrested something like 600 some middlemen. I think that is one of the good thing, I would say, because that was one of the major issue we always see on the ground. And that is not only in land office, but also in license, like the transport offices. So that's why, like directly connected to the youth, one under the issue is license distribution. Government has been able to distribute a lot of, like print a lot of licenses. So that's the good thing. So for anti-corruption and governance issues, I think they are working, they are trying, but the level of work that I was expecting, they have not meet that level, I would say, but still they are working for this. So for me personally, just that one incident which I saw in front of me in Sarlai, I felt, okay, people are scared because of that, like to not be involved in corruption, the government offices, the officials, and the middlemen who were involved, like they would not go in the office itself, like inside the office. So that is kind of a thing that we wanted, because it's not only in Kathmandu. I was in Sarlai, that's like outside Kathmandu. So the change can be felt there as well. And that's the good thing. But yeah, there are many things to work on. So yeah, this is what I have to say about the governance.
Mr. Rana, the government has announced a relief package for those injured during the Gen Z movement and the families of martyrs. Does this address the movement's demands, or is more needed in this sector?
This was one of the major demand, also in 10-point agreement. We had this as one of the major point. What we were expecting, and government have said that in the budget that they are giving relief package. So it's a good thing, but we want to see the implementation. So now the spokesperson said they have been giving monthly money to the injured people, but the people whose family, like they have lost their family members, and many people who are still injured, they still have to go for regular checkup and all those things. And I think there is some issues with implementation as well. Like some of our friends, like injured friends, they were saying it's difficult to go to the government hospitals and claim those services. So I think the implementation part is still lacking, and government needs to work on that. But the relief package is good, and I am happy that they announced that during the budget of this year. So it is one of the major point of Gen Z protest, and it was mentioned in our agreement as well, but they still need to implement it properly, and I'm looking forward how they will implement it.
So if you had to evaluate the government's first 100 days, what score would you give it out of 100%, and what are the main reasons behind your assessment?
I think I would give around 45 to 50, because some of the points which were not mentioned there, that has also been done. So that's good. But some of the work they have done, first of all, the 100 points they have not implemented, as I said before. I was tracking it. There are many things which they have not been able to do it. But more than that, I think some points which were not mentioned, but they have, I think, crossed the limit, like issues of Sukumbasi. That was a big, I would say, mistake by the government. Mm-hmm. I think they have realized themselves as well that they have failed to work on it, and they have not been able to manage this issue. Now they are already telling people to leave. Before they were saying we will accommodate you for till the time we don't give you the land and all those things. We had to go to the court. I was also one of the petitioner. Mm-hmm. So we had to go to the court and stop the government, because I was also there in Thapathali when on the first day when the government was removing them. It was like there was like people were and media were claiming that okay, it was done peacefully because there was no use of force and all those things, but even the presence of that number of police and APF and municipal police itself was a use of force. Like, how can people protest when there are like thousands of police in front of you? And it was very scary situation. That was just because government, especially PM Balinsa, wanted to take revenge, I would say clearly, for what the people of that locality had done before. Like, they had protested when PM Balinsa tried to remove them before. So that's why it was just a revenge, I would say. And they were not ready for it. And you can see, like, even the holding center was not ready. We went to the holding center on that same day in the morning, and they were like still managing the places. The people, like in the Kirtipur, they were saying we didn't know that they are going to come here. So it was not manageable, managed at all. There was lack of coordination with municipality, Kathmandu municipality. So this is one of the major issue, I would say, which the government has failed hugely. Another is about, I am from judiciary, so of course, the appointment of Chief Justice has been a big issue. That is also, I would say, a big mistake that government did, because the long process that we had maintained, I don't know how judiciary is going to be affected. So that's another thing which government has failed. Another point is just recently, I think, the TU Service Commission, I think it's called Service Commission, the appointment of former secretary. He was a member of the party, where our education minister was also a member of that party. So like, they themselves used to claim that there should not be political affiliation and all those things. But they are again appointing similar people in the service commission. There has been protest by the professors of the TU as well, and other people as well. So all of these things, I think, government has not been able to work on it, and especially our prime minister's lack of preparation for the parliament is another issue. Our international relation with India, how Prime Minister responded, and especially I'm scared to some level about the Prime Minister's work, like how much he upholds democratic values. I have doubt in that. So that's one of the major issue, I would say. So that's why because of these reasons, I would say around 40, because to some extent, people general people have lots of hope from this government. So I would still be optimistic and say that government will do it, because they know that people have lots of expectation and we have to fulfill that. But the process, the democratic principles, they have failed in that. So I'm scared about that.
So that's coming back to the evaluation thing, which achievement of the government do you believe deserves recognition, and which promise do you think it has failed to deliver so far?
Yeah, as I said before, with service delivery, they are also, we got to know that they are also delivering the passport to the people in their home itself. They are printing licenses. They are arresting the middlemen. So these are some of the things that's good and which should be done. Because of this, there is kind of fear in the society that, okay, if you do anything wrong, there will be punishment. So that's, I think, good. But there are many things that government has failed. As I said, for example, the government had said that they will officially apologize to Dalit community and bring package for them. They have failed to do this. RSP president did apologize from the parliament, but I think party president and government is different things. So government should do it officially. I think it should be passed by the parliament officially. So that's a different process that they have not been able to do. There are many other things which is already mentioned in the 100 points agreement. 100 points of the government. I think those points also needs to be implemented, especially on governance, good governance, and like how they are going to work on economic development. All those things needs to be focused. So yeah, I just think in overall sense, there are a lot of things that government needs to work on, but they have started some of it, but they have many things to work on.
Mr. Rana, lastly, looking ahead, what should be the government's top priorities over the next 100 days to maintain public trust and meet people's expectations?
First thing would be upholding democratic principles. That's the topmost priority that government should do. Our Prime Minister said he is on expressway and he does not take break. But the expressway also he can go through process because calling CIA commissioners in office and forcing them to issue arrest warrant or start the case, all those things. This is not what the Prime Minister office should be doing. And there are many cases, like for example, for passport, also the German tender and French tender, those issues also Prime Minister's secretariat, they are involved a lot. So I don't know why they are involved in all the agencies' issues, why they are not allowing, why foreign ministry cannot handle it themselves. So these issues, I think, they should work on it. They should focus on democratic principles. For example, arresting of high leaders like former prime ministers and former home ministers. They didn't uphold the process, so court had to again order. So I just hope government works on those democratic principles, fulfills what they have already said. One of the good thing was that they made 100 points, which is a good thing itself. Like they have made points where they want to work on. I would just say they should focus on those points. Of course, economic development, that's very much important for us. Corruption-free society, they should focus on that. Democratic principles, respecting judiciary, like even in like Sukumbasi issue, they have after the court gave order, there have been cases where they have tried to remove the people, forcibly evicted the people. So all those things should be the top priority of government. As I said before, I am still hopeful and optimistic that government will work on it. But till now, the 100 days, I would say, it was not as successful as I was expecting. So there is a lot of things that this government has to work on.
That was young lawyer Prajwal Bikram Rana explicating more on government's 100 days evaluation. That's the perspective for this week. We will be back next week with major updates. Stay tuned to NTV World.
Nepal is lucky. It's got Dharmendra and Amitabh Bachchan. It's in one. You're two in one. Two superstars in one superstar.
But nonetheless, thank you. Thank you so much. But then tell us more about Sholay.
Once again, Nepali cinema making history on the 9th edition of NIF, Nepal International Film Festival, here on NTV Board with the collaboration NTV World. We just don't have two personalities on a talk show. We have two legends. One is Mr. Rajesh Hamal, the superstar of Nepali cinema film industry, and the other one, who is the blockbuster director, none other than Mr. Rajesh Hamal and Mr. Ramesh Sippi. We are having them here on this Creative Forum talk only on NTV World.
Mr. Ramesh Sippi ji, good afternoon.
Namaskar.
Namaskar, and welcome. Welcome to Kathmandu.
Thank you.
Is this your first time?
No, this is my third trip.
A third trip. Yeah, it's an absolutely pleasure. Welcome to Nepal once again, you know. Unfortunately, we're meeting at a very tumultuous time. You know, the world is going through. You know, they're hell-bent on destruction and domination. You know, I think the onus lies on the creative people. You know, to spread their good words about collaboration, humanity, human emotions, human value, just to offset the balance.
Absolutely agreed.
Right, and I think we should speak up and then spread our narration through our arts, through our...
Yeah, because you have a voice, you have people listening.
Right.
And you have that command. So whatever you say, it will carry some weight.
Whatever you say will also carry a lot of weight. I haven't met you before, but I, of course, know of you. You have a very illustrious career, illustrious film life that you have spent, and not only you, your father as well. Could you tell us a little bit about you? I mean, most of us know of you pretty well, but nevertheless, can you tell us, like, where you were born, how did it start, and how did your family got into films?
I was born in 1944 in Karachi. And
so before the partition?
Yes. And about 1947, we moved here immediately after the partition. I mean, I was only 3 years old, so my memory is not very sharp on that. But yes, we started out here. My father went into the construction business, buildings.
In Mumbai?
In Mumbai. And it was a very strange time because when he advertised a building and a flat, at that time, you were either a landlord or a tenant. So there was no purchase as such. Purchase in a small way. A big bungalow or a big thing belongs to one person? Yes. Otherwise. Because the people would come there and they would say, this wall, this side is mine, and that side, somebody else. So, it was a very strange way, but he started selling. Then 1951, he made a film called Saza. My father.
Your father did. His good name was G.P. Shippy.
That's right.
Right. He's a very prominent filmmaker as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Devanand, Nimmi, and Shyama. So with these three, he made a film. Because of his construction thing, he kept meeting people from the film line who wanted to buy. Raj Kapoor would come.
How did he decide to get into making films from construction? Because those are completely poles apart.
Because he was selling.
He was making money.
People were making people were coming there to take the. So then that's how he got.
Oh, he started off as an investor.
Yes, as investors they came in, and that's how he got into it. Well, after that, I was lucky that he was already in, and I worked for about 8 years from 61 to 69, I was just working on the sets in every department possible. And then in 69, I launched my own film, Andaz.
You didn't do anything else in life before that?
No. I went to London in 61 to do something, to maybe commerce, the college there, but I couldn't get into it. My heart and mind was there, so I rang up my father and I said, can I come back? He did not take even 1 second. He said, sure, if you're not happy, come back. That was...
And the first film that you made, was it because you had the passion for filmmaking, or it was like a family business kind of thing?
Not at all. It was absolutely my passion. Because everybody said, why are you making a film like this, a widow and a widower? You shouldn't make this kind of film here. It may be a nice film, but people won't like it. So
Andaz, I remember, was very well received, especially that song on a motorcycle.
That's right. Zindagi Ek Safar.
Yeah, that motorcycle. I mean, I couldn't sing to save my life.
Yeah, two iconic ones, because that was the theme of the film. Hai na bolo bolo, papa ko mummy se, mummy ko papa se pyar hai. They were both without a partner, and that's how they come together.
So how did that come about? I mean, it was the storyline was a little bit anomaly for its time, and did you come up with this idea yourself? Are you also the writer of your own films, or?
Well, you see films, you're inspired, but there's no direct connection. But just felt that we've seen plenty of films in the normal. Why not try something which is a little different? And that was the reason I said, yes, let's do that. Luckily, it worked. But I'll tell you, in the smaller towns, it was still not accepted.
Oh, because of the storyline.
That storyline. And that told me, listen a bit. So you've got to listen to what people say also. But you've got to take a step forward.
But yeah, so those days, the filmmaker had to be extremely conscious about the social values and things like that, and what they would accept, what they would not accept.
True.
Including how you dress especially the leading actresses and all that.
Yes.
So that was your first film, Andaz?
That's
and
right.
And that was made in
69. It was released in 1971.
Okay. And then the ball started rolling after that?
Went on to make Sita or Gita. Again,
that was a kind of a maverick work as well. No? Yes. Sita or Gita, double role.
Yes.
Were you fascinated with Hema Malini from day one, or?
Well, she was very...
Or did you have a good rapport with her?
Yes,
or?
yes, she was very, very lovely. But she was, we were dubbing for Andaz, post-production, and I said, would you like to play this double role on the mic? I was telling her. She was inside.
On the set of Andaz.
She was dubbing for the end of the film.
So you're offering her another project?
Yes, on the mic. She said, what? You think I can do it? I said, yes, if you put your heart into it, we can do it. And that's how Sita or Gita came about. Yes, I was very fortunate to have Salim Javed with me. Absolutely brilliant writers. And we moved on. And again, Sholay was a two-line idea. It's all at that time it was an army officer and two cadets, and they were mischievous guys, and so he calls them later in life to help for him for his personal revenge. We just converted into the police, that's all.
And you did all this at a relatively young age, didn't you? Like you were like in your mid-20s, or?
I was 25 and I started Andaz. Then in Sita or Gita, I was 27, 28. Then 29, I started Sholay.
Sholay, you started at 29.
9 and finished in 31. The film was released.
Now that you've mentioned Sholay, you and Sholay are so synonymous. You know, like everybody, when they think about Sholay, they think about you. When they think about you, they think about Sholay. How did that, such a for its time, it was larger than life. Those days, mostly cinema used to be made in CinemaScope and 35mm, and you went into 70mm. And the storyline was slightly, you know, different as well from your normal Hindi film storyline. And what I can tell by looking at Sholay is maybe there's an element of a Western movie influence in there.
You're absolutely right.
But you gave such an Indian flavor to it that the Indian audience totally lapped it up.
I was always fascinated by the way the Western films were made, and those
You used to watch a lot
in
of
particular.
Clint Eastwood films?
Yes, first the Clint Eastwood films, then the films like Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. And all these Westerns gave a wonderful kind of feel at that time. And so it was not easy to adapt to Indian finger Western, but because we had our dacoits and they operated in the Chambal Valley.
They could be the baddies, yeah.
And I guess circumstances took them to that point.
But the way you presented the film and the storyline was so amazing and so different from the kind of films that were being made in that era. You know, like the most prominent thing that I would say of Sholay was that you brought every character to life. When people think of Sholay, they definitely think of you as well, but they think of not just the protagonist, they think of all the characters, from Kalia to Mosti to even the horse, the Basanti. They remember everything. So you brought so much of life to each and every character, whether they were doing the leading role or the side role, but everybody had a prominence present in that film. How did you manage that?
From the idea we began with, it turned out to be a very good script. And with that script, while scripting, had a lot of these actors in mind. And very fortunately, all of them agreed to come in. It's very difficult for such a big, so many different actors to come in, big actors. Otherwise, they'll worry what will happen.
Was Amitabh Bachchan ji relatively new during that time, or was he?
He had just started to come up. His film Zanjeer was released after he signed with us for Sholay.
So you got him cheap.
I made up for it in the next film. He said, okay, you got me cheap there, now what are you going to give me here? Okay, so much. Nepal is lucky. It's got Dharmendra and Amitabh Bachchan both in one. You're two in one. Two superstars in one superstar.
But nevertheless, thank you. Thank you so much. But then tell us more about Sholay. How did you do the characterization? How did you come up with the story line?
As I said, I was very lucky to have Salim Javed, who came to me towards the end of the making of Andaz. Halfway through, they joined me, and then Sita or Gita did it. They wrote Sita or Gita. And then, as far as Sholay was concerned, we worked on the script. They had an idea, one-line idea.
Oh, they had it themselves?
Yes, okay. And it was with somebody else who didn't want to make it. Manmohan Desai, I think. He said, this is not my kind of film. So he passed it, passed by, gave a pass to it. So you could take it, and they narrated these two lines. An army officer with two cadets, and he calls them for his. So I think I was lucky that I had these two wonderful writers with me, and we were able to bring together a script which had all these elements in it, and all of us are always inspired by good cinema.
When they were writing, did you tell them that you wanted a Western kind of style to it?
Yes, absolutely.
You told them that?
Yes.
Did you give them any references? Or?
Yes, all these that I told you about, Butch Cassidy, like these two are like the Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid, and one of them dies at the end, if you remember Butch Cassidy also.
That was Paul Newman and Robert.
That's right, that's right. So that's how it developed, and it developed well, and all the pieces started falling together, the actors coming in. And then, as I said, I was very keen that I go to a different location. My art director took me down south, and near Bangalore, about 50 kilometers away from Bangalore, was this, all these rocks. The moment I saw them, I said, this is it. The den would be here, and the village would be just close by somewhere, and this is where it could all take place. And then we built a village there.
So how long did the homework take place?
The idea and the thought coming, and we got everyone together, and by the coincidentally, the film started on the 2nd of October, 73, October 2nd.
And then you had such prominent actors in that film. How difficult was it to coordinate them? I mean, how does it work in Indian cinema when you have so many prominent actors and actresses in your set? How does the coordination work? Is it a difficult task?
I think because they were well-defined roles, so there was no real fear that everyone knew, because if you remember the climax of Sholay, one thing leads to the other, and each actor gets to play his part in such a way that if Dharamji, when he moves away for a short while, and Amitabh takes the bullets. So he dies, and then he vows vengeance, and he drives, and he does the climax of killing all of them, right down to when Sanjeev Kumar comes and says, no, this is mine. Gabbar is mine. You leave Gabbar to me, because that was why I called you for this. So it all fell in such a way that everyone had his piece, and everyone was satisfied with what he was doing.
It all felt justified. I mean, no doubt, as a maker, you were a maverick when you were making Sholay, but over the years, how does it feel? I mean, if I may ask you this, that people usually remember the performance and the performers more than the maker and the director. Do you see a quiet injustice in there? Like, when you talk about Sholay, they remember Gabbar Singh, maybe Viru, and what's the other guy's name? Jay and Viru and Hema Malini and this.
Surma Bhopali.
And over the line, somehow the maker gets sort of like, shattered. Do you see a kind of a quiet injustice in there as a maker?
Well, yes and no, because yes, the credit, but it's very natural as far as an audience is concerned to identify with the actor, because that's who the story is being told through. So they become real life, and they become the real characters. So for them, that is the first thing that hits them. The people behind the scene, yes, okay, but there have been chaos of Mughal-e-Azam and one film, and he's remembered as a, and of course Mehboob Khan, which is Mother India, and so there are a few.
you have left, no doubt, an indelible mark in the Hindi cinema. You will always be remembered. But I was just taking this out because, most of the time when you have big stars and the movie is successful, they remember it as the star's film rather than the maker's film. True. Whereas initially, the project is the maker's baby, actually. That's where it starts.
I want to make a wonderful film, and if you stand out as an actor, but it's the same thing. We want it to work. We want the people to like it. So I think.
But Sholay, I believe, was not, initially it was sort of like received very lukewarm, like it didn't have a great response.
Again, unfortunately, I have to defer. There was no such thing.
Oh, there wasn't?
No. Headlined disaster. Disaster. Every week. Disaster 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For 5 weeks they hammered that this kind of a film, no way. And because they'd already given it once, taking it back was not easy. But finally in the 6th week, they admitted that yes, it's a big hit. And there is no such thing that, because in the 2nd and 3rd week, people were repeating the dialogues. Right. So in the theater, we knew this is a repeat audience. A repeat audience doesn't come if they haven't liked it the first time. They're not going to come a second time. So that's.
But do you remember around that time, the same time, there was another film that was released with very little budget but did extremely well. I think it was Jai Santosima, or.
Yes, on the very same day.
Yeah. So, what was your reaction to that film? I mean, here you are with a multi-star, with a great budget, larger-than-life presentation film. And there's another film which is low budget and just comes out and it.
As a matter of fact.
And comes out with a bang.
When the trade papers spoke like this about Sholay, they also mentioned that, look at this film, Jai Santoshima. At this budget, it's a blockbuster. And Sholay was demoted. But then, of course, they.
Yeah, but Sholay, of course, lasted much longer, and it's become a history, and it becomes a milestone of Hindi cinema. Rameshji, can you, you've experienced so many periods and so many phases in Indian cinema. You've come a long way. How do you see cinema of today, especially the Hindi cinema scenario of today? How do you look at them?
I think the best way to look at it is today's audiences and their educational levels and their exposure to the world is quite different. So we are seeing a change, but at the same time, we have to remember that we are competing with ourselves on television, on OTT, on all these are a part of the audiovisual entertainment, and yet a lot of people might say today, I would rather sit at home and watch it where it comes on OTT.
So what do you think about the modern technology of filmmaking? I mean, do you take it as a progressive change, or?
Yes, any technology improvements that help and aid a filmmaker should be welcomed. Now, do they take away from you as a maker? I think they're meant to enhance your work. I think anything you think of and you want to do special effects, it's only going to help what your vision is. If it is taken in that light, and you do not make the mistake of letting it take over the storytelling or the thrust of the film and the emotions of the film, you don't allow these to be taking over that, then you're okay. You've got to create that balance.
Director used to be almost 95% in charge of the project. How you're going to film it, how he's going to frame it, how he's going to present it. But now the directors have to work in coordination with so many different technical departments and engineers and special effect people that the share of the director is just limited to maybe just an imagination. or the concept of how he wants to do it, and the other people put it together.
But I think, as I said, sensibility prevails, that you try to create that balance between technology and the real thing. And the actors today, if they find there is a good maker, I'm sure you as an actor would be happy to have a good director with you. He can only help and guide a little more. You're going to ultimately take, as you yourself said, he gets the maximum appreciation goes to the actor. So it's as a maker, you just have to just make that compromise in your mind that it is a medium. You can do a lot with it, with all these new technology things. Take it in the positive way and use it to help you. Now, if you have a crowd of horses coming in, and you have 4 horses you use who are good, and you add to those horses, it'll like a herd of
104 horses.
That's it. So it's the advantage is there if you use it correctly. And if you unnecessarily use technology, you're going to...
If you had the advantage of using this technology while making Sholay, would Sholay would have been any different?
A damn good question, and I don't have an answer.
No, but it's done, it's printed, it's a history, and it's a hallmark. Like, you represent Hindi cinema, and most of the Hindi cinemas are like star-driven, and they're the main attractions, and the unique selling point of a film actually becomes the stars and all that. How important is it, in your view, that does an actor like transform himself or herself completely into a character, or does the actor bring his own essence to every role? Does the part of the actor has to be alive in every role, especially the star-driven, or they can succumb themselves totally into a character?
I think mostly they can. I think a very, very particular character which calls for a change of image, the actor is excited about playing something entirely different, and the director feels that this is an actor who can, because he's such a good actor, he'll be able to deliver in this kind of a role. Then they work together to change that image which was existent before that. But most of the time, it's the image.
I mean, you sort of played in abundance in terms of, relatively, in terms of whether budget or your writers or your technicians. When do you think the creativity actually flourishes? Is it in abundance or in limitation?
When Dharmendraji goes up on that tank, now, it's not exactly word by word what was written for him. Then there was improvisation as well. And it had to be because he's in that mood. So that was a combination of the character as well as the actor and the lines and his performance. And, I mean, it just all came together so beautifully that today it's a scene which is remembered. And that goes for Mr. Bachchan as well.
Does your creativity gets limited if you're working within a limited budget, within limited resources? Does that hamper your creativity as a filmmaker, as opposed to when you have?
Unfortunately, my experience is that I had a budget for Sholay, 1 crore, because my previous film, Sita Aur Geeta, cost 50 lakhs. So we said, let's be a bit large-hearted, keep 1 crore for this.
But for 73, that was a lot of money. For 1973, that was a lot of money.
Yes, but it went on to cost 3 crores. Because it went on and on. Because I've said this before, but shooting the scene, the massacre scene of Sanjeev Kumar's family, the Thakur's family, I started to shoot, and after 2 days, the clouds came and the sun went away. So we sat for a day. In those days, the film was such that you could not do anything about it. You had to get some sunlight. You couldn't match it like you do in post-production, as you say, correct? So otherwise you could have fiddled with it in post-production, but no. And on the 4th day, clouds again. So I asked the cameraman, because the mind started to work, and the texture of the scene changed. I said, if I do it like this, I'll be able to build that, the little wind, and it changed only in terms of what the, not that the dialogues were changed or anything like that, but the sense of it. The point is, it cost me 21 days of shooting because of the weather. I had to wait for the cloudy weather. Then we started to make some thin covers on top to filter, if the sun is there, how to filter it on the sets. Things like that were improvised, and we were able to shoot it. And ultimately, there was no other way but to spend more time and money trying to get what you want.
Right, but did you feel that you were taking a risk in terms of money? Like,
I tried not to think about it.
Right.
And my father never said a word to me, what are you doing? So that's where I was very lucky. He just let me do what I was doing. He had the confidence that I was doing the right thing.
Suppose you've spent so much of money, so much of time, so much of energy into this dream project of yours, Sholay. And if it had failed miserably in the box office,
I wouldn't be here then.
So there's no such thing as like taking things with a pinch of salt and getting up and moving up again. Can that happen to a filmmaker? When a dream project fails,
yes, it can.
And he still retains the energy to continue,
yes,
to stand up and move?
It can happen, but it will affect his confidence also.
Do you know anyone that you know like that in Hindi cinema?
No, I'm sure there must be people who have felt this. People start to abandon you financially, or in different ways. You find even actors then dropping out from projects. These things do happen. It's not.
How much of a burden is it when you lose a lot of money in a film? How much for the maker?
Well, if it's borrowed money, it's carrying interest all the time. There is a certain foolishness when you allow budgets to go that.
How do you look at the progression of cinema making over the years? Because you see, what has happened is with so many different sources of viewing cinema, people have cinema in their own hands. With a click of a button, they can go anywhere. And what it used to be a cinema literacy in those days are available to anyone with a nice smartphone. A 10-year-old would have a cinema literacy
exactly
of that of, let's say, 70s professional filmmaker, when they talk about long shot, mid shot, focus in, focus out, this and that. All these cinema jargons are used by lay persons today.
Correct.
So is it a more challenging to be a filmmaker in this time and age than it used to be before?
I think that will always be there. The challenges were there then. As you said,
every second person in one way or the other is a filmmaker these days. Everybody is creating one thing or the other. Whereas in those days, filmmaking was exclusively the department of the professionals.
Correct.
And they only knew how to do it. If they were talking about editing, the rest of the audience didn't know. If they were talking about, I don't know, long shot, mid shot, focus out, focus, and these are the jargons that the normal people are using it these days. You know, what's dubbing, what's this. So do you think it's a more of a challenge, much more challenging to be a film director in this age and era?
Today, yes, I think it is. But as I said, if you take technology along with you and let it help you in achieving what you want to achieve, you will be able to achieve it in lesser money today because of the special effect. Your knowledge of that technology will allow you to, okay, this I can do. So it can be helpful.
Like I remember, even in the 90s, you know, if you have to picturize, say, the interior of a moving car, that itself was an extreme challenge.
It was.
You know, and now you have so many different types of cameras available. You can do it in a flick of a
Yes,
finger.
I remember, because after that, when I made Shan, that started to happen. I used to sit on the bonnet of the car, facing the actor behind the wheel, and the co-artist with the actor in front, and you're going through, and the crowds, you have to avoid the crowds because you'll see them. So all these factors were there, and it was very difficult to shoot within the city. And all my work on Shan was in the city, on the docks, in the streets, or those car chases and everything. What would normally have taken 3-4 days to shoot took, again, 20 days, 25 days to get it right.
And the audience were pretty naive about the
difficulties. They don't see the difficulties. They see the end product.
That's why the word, you know, the cinematic liberty used to be very famous those days, because
absolutely
you know
right.
you can fool your audience. You know?
Absolutely correct. You got it.
Which is probably not possible these days. Yeah. Yeah. The difference today is that, you know, like people want to watch larger than life and extraordinary things on the screen, but at the same time, they demand that it should be believable, you know, even if it is done extraordinarily, you know, larger than life way. The audience still wants to know that it has to be presented in such a way that it's believable. That's
correct.
You know, they don't see any mistakes in there, so it has to be flawless today, and the technology has probably helped that.
That has, yes, it definitely has. But each time, even then, when the back projection came in first, for the first time, that was a technological advance. It did help a lot.
Especially in a moving object, yeah.
Yes. But there you could see technically that it was, if you were very sharp, you could tell it's done on a back projection screen, because you didn't have enough maneuverability. Just the back window, the back glass, the back of the car, the rear glass would allow you to, so your blue screen was behind it. And that's how.
But the general audience had no idea how it's been done, you know. And that's probably what
now they all know, as you say.
Now they all know. They know everything about filmmaking. So this is what I feel nowadays. You know, if you're a filmmaker these days, you have to be a notch higher than the average person, because everyone knows about filmmaking. Everybody knows how to make a moving picture. Everybody knows about editing. Everybody knows about how to put, you know, good visuals together. So in order to be a good filmmaker, one has to be a few notches higher than the normal people.
Yes, you got it right. You hit it on the spot. It is so easy, and they know all about it. So when they see, oh, this must have been done like this and this must have been done like that. And yet, when the audience comes into a theatre to watch the film, they are ready to watch. It's not, they haven't come there to criticize it. They really want to appreciate it, otherwise they wouldn't spend that 500,000, 1,500 bucks for a ticket. In the days of Sholay, it was 2 rupees, 3 rupees, and 4 rupees.
Don't you think the movie viewing culture has changed drastically? Like those days when you were making Sholay, film used to be actually the cheapest form of entertainment.
Absolutely.
And now it's not so cheap form of entertainment at all. So how do you see that? I mean, once upon a time, cinema was, accessible to every layperson. A person who labors on the street throughout the day is looking forward to go and watch a film in an air-conditioned movie hall and just have a good time. Whereas today, maybe some of the movie theaters are off-limit to people of certain income groups.
That's true.
So how do you see this transformation?
Yes, but theaters are also doing things now to, you come on a particular day, the ticket is much lower. They have these incentives, or you go there, you get a Coke or a thing extra. There are ways of getting around that. So it makes it a little more easier for certain audiences who would not be able to afford it to come in and get a pleasure of the big screen.
Yeah, this is what I have distinctly noticed. It's not just in India, even here in Nepal. Earlier, when we used to go to the movie hall, the representation was mostly of the average person of that society or that country. But now you go to one of these fancy movie halls in the city, and then you see it's a completely different class of people representing as an audience. That is something distinctly I have noticed over the period.
What we do have is most of the screens are like that now. There are a few single cinemas still in existence, and that audience still goes there, and the rates are also lower there. But yes, it's a big problem.
And as far as the content of the Hindi cinema goes nowadays, or the storyline of Hindi cinema, do you think that has gone through changes over the period? Like the kind of story you would want to make into a film in the 70s as opposed to now?
I don't think that at its core it's different. You see Dhurandhar today?
Just the presentation has changed a lot.
He's made a wonderful film, but he's used what we are talking about. He's used technology as well as the real thing, and he's made a wonderful combination. But it is all action and blood and gore, and it's been presented in a way that is palatable. And this is a bigger hit than just a family story or a. So this is how.
So that is immutable truth. That's an unchanging truth over the years. The content of the story.
Yes.
The technology might help it to bring it into a different scale and different presentation.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but I guess cinema is all about human emotions and human expressions, and human emotions and expressions probably don't change.
And they're
people
forever.
Feel the same way.
Yeah, you don't. If you love someone, you love someone. It's not like
angry at someone. You're angry at someone.
And you're angry, absolutely.
Whether you're a man at 70s or the man of today's age.
Something will take you to that intolerable level. It's bound to.
This is what I always felt, everything is changeable. Like over the years, place might change, cities might change, society might change, but the emotion remains intact, the way our great-grandfather felt when they were in love is the same kind of emotions that we feel today. The way they reacted when they were angry, we react in a more or less same way, So the human emotion is, I think, the only thing which is permanent in this ever-changing world,
Yes, I'm sure most of the people will agree. I have no problem with those who don't. I carry my convictions with myself, and as you would always do for yourself, and each one does for themselves. I think it's fair.
From all this larger-than-life project, how did you get into television all of a sudden? Especially in those days. I mean, Bunyad was in Doordarshan, right?
Yes.
Before the cable television and multi-channel.
Yes.
So how did that come about? I mean, how was that transformation made?
Actually, some of the DD officials at that time suggested to my father, because he had a good rapport with the government, and they said, we've launched this channel, but we need some good material on it. Can you think of something you can... And the writer who had written an earlier...
story revolved around partition, right?
Yes.
India,
No, what I'm saying is the writer of Bunyad was a writer who had done an earlier film, earlier series. As I got to know that writer, I felt a kind of a pulse that it's going to, this guy knows what he's talking about. So when it was set in partition and he was able to come up with a script which I liked. And I said, okay, let's go. It was a whole different kind of movie making. It was not movies, it was every episode, if you could leave it on a little...
And you must have shot in video cameras or...
the first 26 episodes I shot on film, 16mm film. And then switched to the videos.
And that was, how many series was it? Like how long?
105 episodes.
105. So that's what, like over a year? Over
a year,
over a year.
Twice a week, 52 weeks, 104 episodes.
Was that a profitable venture?
Yes,
it was. Okay.
It did well. In the beginning, we lost a lot of money, but started to pick up. And because we got into control of the shooting time, and then we were able to bring it out at a fairly commercial kind of income, cost to income, we were able to balance it well.
So that was the only television venture that you attempted?
No, I did one more. After that, I made a film. Then after that film, I did one again for the DD started the morning thing.
The morning segment.
Morning segment. That's where I made something called Kismat. So that was also, that did well. Then later on, went to do a film, a series called Gatha, which was also 100 episodes, just a little bit less than that. But that actually was on Star Plus. Now, Star Plus, the audience was not a DD audience. It was Star Plus had not made a dent in the...
So they were just coming in?
Yes.
Star Plus, okay. And that took the television industry much higher.
Then Star Plus, once the
you had your
Saas Bahu thing came in,
and then you had
it went
ZTV
crazy.
and
Yes,
whatnot,
yes,
and
yes.
much later after that. Before we part, Ramesh, I mean, we talked a lot about Sholay, but I would also like to talk about your other very, very popular film like Shan, Shakti, Trishul. These are all yours, right?
Not Trishul.
Not Trishul.
Shan, Shakti, Sagar.
Sagar, yeah, right, exactly, Sagar. Tell us about that. Sagar is what? Rishi Kapoor and Kamal Hassan ji?
Kamal Hassan, Rishi Kapoor,
Dimple.
and Dimple, yeah.
That was a odd combination of that time as well, like getting Kamal Hassan from South, and then you have this lover boy image of Rishi Kapoor, and Dimple was she was taking a sabbatical, and you...
Yeah, she did only one film first.
You woke her up and brought her to the set. How did that come about?
Again, we decided, because I like to do each film different from my previous film. So Shakti was a drama, father and son. So
yeah, you brought in Dilip Kumarji with Amitabh Bachchan, which was also another huge step.
And then I felt maybe a love story. Let's think of something which is different. Discussed it with Javed Saab. Unfortunately, they had split at that time, Salim Javed. So Javed, then let's do a triangle, but it was just a thought. It was not a script. It took about a year for that to happen. And then a lot of it was made on the set, improvisations and how it would be. Because Kamal Hassan, I found, was an actor so full of himself that, and he was so right in the way he did things, in the sense, sir, can I do it like this? Only if you feel that it's okay, then I can, and he would do it in a certain way. It was written in a certain way, and he did it a little differently.
As opposed to Rishi Kapoorji, who's very spontaneous and...
Yeah, he's simple. And because his role was like that. But him, he's part of the village, he's jumping around, he's got... So all that energy was his. He brought that extra energy to the character. So that's how actors also do when they make it their own and bring something extra out of it. You got to, and you got to be prepared to accept that as a director. You must. Otherwise, if I had said no, he would have been normal, but it may not have been the performance it was.
Before I let you go, how's life now? What are you doing now? And what do you...
I am thinking of a project, which hopefully, if it all works out in the next month or two, then by the end of the year I might shoot. It's not a big budget or a huge thing, but it's set in a place called Mathura in UP. It's set over there with characters from there. So I think if all works out, then I should be on that.
I wish you all the best. May you have a very long and healthy life and creative life. And
thank you so much.
And don't let your passion go.
That was two cinema legends in one frame, and this is Creative Forum. We'll be back with more shows and episodes. This is me, Suveksha Rajak. Let's leave for another creativity.
Pashupatinath is located in the eastern part of Kantipur city, approximately 5 kilometers away from Bagmati River. During the Lichavi period, the area surrounding Pashupatinath was known for animal rearing. This region includes Duwasthali, Guveshwari, Gaurighat, Chaba Hill, Ganeshtan, and Kotuwali, all of which are part of the Pashupatinath area. In 1979 AD, UNESCO designated Pashupatinath as a World Heritage Site. The blessings of Pashupatinath have been revered since ancient times, indicating the site's significance long before the Lichavi dynasty. The presence of Jyotirlinga, a sacred representation of Lord Shiva, is mentioned in one of the ancient texts, highlighting its historical and religious importance. In the Gopal Raj dynasty, King Supuspadev described Pashupatinath as Varna Vyavastha. Following Supuspadev, every subsequent king incorporated the name of Pashupatinath within their own names. King Vaskardev offered 3 kosh to Pashupatinath, Brishdev presented a trishul, Dharmadev contributed a brisk Jose, and Narendra Dev offered various kosh made from different materials. Finally, Jayadev offered a lotus to Pasupatinath. In 1473 BS, Jyoti Malla renovated Pashupatinath. The priest Nityananda initiated the removal of the three-story structure of Pashupatinath and reduced it to a single story. Queen Ganga, the consort of Shiva Singh, had the Bhasa Bamsawali written, which is still present today. During the Malla dynasty, the offerings made by the kings to Pashupatinath can still be seen today. Among these offerings, Lord Shiva at Pashupatinath received a copper roof, and chadi and kamal. Finally, King Jai Singh presented a gold-made mekhla, and a grand jatra was conducted.
NATO leaders have gathered in Ankara, Turkey for a key summit focused on collective security, defense spending, and continued support for Ukraine. The meeting comes after US President Donald Trump publicly criticized NATO allies, raising concerns that divisions within the alliance could overshadow the summit. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky held talks with Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni on the sidelines as efforts to revive negotiations aimed at ending Russia's war in Ukraine remain on the agenda. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte and Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan welcomed leaders including Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney, German Chancellor Friedrich Merz, and other alliance members on their arrival. The summit is expected to address regional security challenges and reaffirm NATO's strategic priorities amid ongoing geopolitical tensions. Tensions renewed within the alliance after US President Donald Trump criticized member states of NATO for not doing enough to support his campaign against Iran. Speaking alongside NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte, Trump made such statements.
The fact that I'm very upset with NATO, that we pay far, far too much, billions and billions of dollars too much, because it's unfair, because we're protecting them. So we protect them, but they're not there for us. Think of it. Doesn't work.
Meanwhile, Norwegian Prime Minister Jonas Gahr Store defended the alliance, saying NATO provides significant strategic value to the United States, particularly through security cooperation in the Arctic.
But I don't see the US pulling all of their troops out of Europe. You know, it happens at times that President Trump is asking, what does NATO bring to the US? And I can tell you from Norway's perspective, a lot. We can demonstrate that what we do in the High North, in the Arctic, looking after, keeping calm, is of importance for our security, but also for the US homeland security.
In the meantime, Hungarian Prime Minister Peter Magyar reiterated that Ukraine is a victim of Russia's invasion and affirmed Kiev's right to defend its territorial integrity.
Let me make it very clear concerning the war on behalf of the Hungarian government that Ukraine is the victim and Russia is the brutal aggressor, and Ukraine has the right to defend its territorial integrity.
The summit is expected to focus on alliance unity, regional security, and continued support for Ukraine amid ongoing geopolitical challenges. The United States Central Command, or CENTCOM, has released footage it says shows strike survey. Blazes and assess the
Hanjang in Temki Moing Ruinvestment from a statue of Sumnima and Paruhang has been erected. Salpa Pokhari site. pressing priority.
Living in relative. Which in us to see things through the darkness. Likewise,
Education and Sports, Smrit Pokhrel. The meet priority under its state-owned industry revival camp. Now cover story. No independent vendor scored a stoppage time winner. Correspondent.
evaluation is an important
सिर्जना भयो भने अझ त्यसमा पनि
लागेको छ भने त्यसलाई भिजायो भने त हुन्छ नि.
Now, wheelchair users, people with disability who escorts them safely from the entrance to the relevant office or service desk and provides assistance through their visit.
Officials and accelerating economic reforms. During the meeting at the office of the Prime Minister and Council of Ministers, Shah reaffirmed the government's commitment to removing policy and procedural barriers.
हामी छलफल गरि नै हाल्छौं समितिहरुमा आउँछ राष्ट्रिय सभाबाट प्रतिनिधि सभाबाट व्यापक रूपमा सरकारवालाहरुसँग पनि यसको सरसल्लाह गरि नै हाल्छौं हामी तर अहिले भएकै कुरालाई त्यो सिग्नलिङ गर्नको लागि छोटो संशोधन गरेर जाउँ भनेर यो अध्यादेशको रूपमा आएको हो.
The Minister also revealed discussions are underway.
डिजिटल ल्याउनको निम्ति पनि अहिले पनि गइरहेछ तर एउटा फरक खाले डिजिटलमा जानको निम्ति पनि हामी अब सोच्नुपर्छ र छुट्टै खालको छलफल गरेर डिजिटलका कार्यक्रमहरू कस्ता हुने र रेडियो नेपालका कार्यक्रमहरू कस्तो हुने भनेर पनि अब आउँदा दिनमा
The public to remain vigilant by keeping homes and surroundings clean and taking precautions to avoid mosquito bites. Bird flu outbreaks reported in different parts of the country are now taking a toll on poultry farmers in Dhadin districts. Farmers say broiler chickens
tourism continue to draw Indian travelers. The government has set a target of attracting 3.5 million foreign tourists within the next decade, with India remaining its priority market.
धर्मावलम्बीहरूलाई यो प्रचार प्रसार पछिल्ला चरणमा डिजिटाइजेसनको माध्यमद्वारा यो आयोजिएको सोशल नेटवर्क मार्फतबाट बढी प्रचार प्रसार जस्तो भएर पनि सुसुप्त रहेको थाहा नपाएको कुरो थाहा पाएर बढ्दो क्रममा छ.
The rise in Indian arrivals is also translating into a stronger business for hotels, restaurants.
The lovely people, living into the villages and all of areas.
Tourism entrepreneurs also say recent calls by Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi for Indians to spend more on domestic and regional travel have indirectly benefited Nepal's tourism sector. With Indian arrivals continuing to climb, Nepal is counting on its largest tourism market to help drive.
China has urged the United States and Iran to avoid escalating tensions following recent U.S. strikes on Iranian targets, warning that renewed conflict would not serve either side's interest. Foreign Ministry spokesperson Mao Ning called on both countries to resolve their differences through dialogue and implement existing agreements.
我们正在关注中东局势的最新动向，重燃战火不符合任何一方的利益，军事手段解决不了根本问题。我们呼吁美伊双方落实好已经签署的谅解备忘录，通过对话谈判化解争端，避免诉诸武力。
Tensions renewed within the alliance after U.S. President Donald Trump criticized member states of NATO for not doing enough to support his campaign against Iran. Speaking alongside NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte, Trump made such statements.
I'm very upset with NATO that we pay far, far too much, billions and billions of dollars too much, because it's unfair, because we're protecting them. So we protect them, but they're not there for us. Think of it. Doesn't work.
Meanwhile, Norwegian Prime Minister Jonas Gahr Støre defended the alliance, saying NATO provides significant strategic value to the United States, particularly through security cooperation in the Arctic.
But I don't see the US pulling all of their troops out of Europe. You know, it happens at times that President Trump is asking, what does NATO bring to the US? And I can tell you from Norway's perspective, a lot. We can demonstrate that what we do in the High North, in the Arctic, looking after, keeping calm, is of importance for our security, but also for the US homeland security.
In the meantime, Hungarian Prime Minister Peter Magyar reiterated that Ukraine is the victim of Russia's invasion and affirmed Kyiv's right to defend its territorial integrity.
Let me make it very clear concerning the war on behalf of the Hungarian government that Ukraine is the victim and Russia is the brutal aggressor, and Ukraine has the right to defend its territorial integrity.
U.S. President Donald Trump on Wednesday ordered an immediate halt to all trade with NATO ally Spain, escalating tensions over defense spending and the Iran war, despite European Union rules requiring trade negotiations to be conducted as a single bloc. During a NATO summit in Ankara, European leaders had hoped would cap rifts within the military alliance. Trump instead reignited the dispute with Spain, calling it a terrible partner. He also egged another NATO ally by reiterating that his country should control Greenland. Denmark promised to defend every inch of its territory. Trump has also repeatedly expressed frustration with Spain and Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez, a socialist who leads a minority leftist government, refused to let the U.S. use its airspace for bases for the Iran war. Emergency crew have been responding to an overnight Russian strike on Ukraine's capital, Kyiv, that killed at least one person, according to Mayor Vitaly Klitschko. Firefighters worked to extinguish blazes and assess the damage caused by the attack. The latest strike comes as Russia continues its military campaign against Ukraine more than 4 years after launching its full-scale invasion in 2022. It also comes just hours before Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is scheduled to meet U.S. President Donald Trump on the sidelines of the NATO summit in Ankara. The meeting is expected to focus on Ukraine's security and continued international support. Business news lined up next. For now, a short breather.
China has warned that versions of the US-developed AI coding tool Claude Code may contain what it calls a security backdoor capable of transmitting users' location and identity-related data without consent. The warning came from China's National Vulnerability Database, a cybersecurity platform linked to the Ministry of Industry and Information Technology, which urged users and organizations to uninstall affected versions or update to the latest release. Claude Code, developed by San Francisco-based AI startup Anthropic, is an artificial intelligence coding assistant that helps developers generate, debug, and review software code, although the company officially restricts access to users in China. Anthropic has not formally responded to the allegations, but Claude Code engineer Tariq Shehipar said the data collection was part of an anti-abuse experiment introduced to prevent unauthorized resellers and AI model copying, adding that the feature was being removed. South Korean technology giant Samsung Electronics has forecast a sharp increase in second quarter operating profit, driven by strong global demand for memory chips used in artificial intelligence systems. The company expects operating profit to rise nearly 19-fold compared with the same period last year, highlighting the rapid growth of the AI semiconductor market. Samsung is among the world's largest memory chip producers and has been investing heavily to compete in the expanding AI hardware sector. The forecast reflects a broader industry boom as technology companies increase spending on advanced chips and data infrastructure. Afghanistan's once thriving car trade in southern Kandahar province has come to a standstill as regional conflicts disrupt cross-border commerce. The Spin Boldak market, a major hub for imported vehicle parts, was severely affected after violence with neighboring Pakistan led to the near-total closure of the border in October. Traders who relied on supplies from across the region are now facing shortages, rising costs, and
midfielder Enzo Fernandez. Egypt had taken the lead as early as the 15th minute when centre-back Yasser Ibrahim headed in Marwan Ataya's long pass from the right, similar to Enzo's later goal. In the 67th minute, striker Zico doubled Egypt's lead with a counter-attack, finishing Haitham Hassan's cut-back past goalkeeper Emiliano Martinez. However, the goal was disallowed after VAR ruled a foul on Lisandro Martinez during Argentina's possession. Just 2 minutes after, Zico scored again to make it 2-0. With his scoring streak intact, Messi climbed back to the top of the Golden Boot race. This was his 8th goal in the tournament in the United States, and with 21 overall, he is now the all-time leading scorer in World Cup history. Argentina will face Switzerland in the semi-finals. The match is scheduled for Sunday, July 12 at 6:45 a.m. Nepal Standard Time. Meanwhile, Switzerland reached the World Cup quarterfinals for the first time in 72 years. In Vancouver's BC Place Stadium, Switzerland defeated Colombia 4-3 in a penalty shootout in the last round of 16 match. After 90 minutes plus 30 minutes of extra time ended goalless, the game went to penalties. Colombia missed 2 spot kicks, allowing Switzerland to advance.
Now it's time for weather updates, first from Nepal and then across the world. And before we wrap up, here's the reminder of our top stories. Government appoints Govinda Bahadur Karke as Nepal's next Chief Secretary, Karke to succeed Suman Raj Aryal. Preparations underway to restart Hetauda textile industry after 25 years. Revival aims to create jobs and strengthen domestic textile production. Government launches assisted mobility services at Singadarbar. New initiative improves access for people with disabilities and senior citizens. US President Donald Trump says US-Iran ceasefire effectively over after fresh military strikes by both sides. NATO leaders gather in Ankara for a key summit on collective security. US President Trump criticizes member states for not doing enough. And quarter-final equation of FIFA World Cup 2026 set with Switzerland knocking Colombia out on penalties. That's it for this edition of NTV World News Hour. I'm Suviksha Rajak and thank you for staying with us. Good night.